Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Newscast. These are the top stories we're tracking. IMF encouraged Guyana to illegally pay Exxon and partners income taxes. Guyana is CDB's largest loan beneficiary and has secured more than $10 million in past 2 years. Meanwhile, absence of rules to monitor spending of oil money by politicians a major red flag, says the NRGI, and a battled GEA fuel inspector was sacked by KANU and currently being investigated by GEA. Meanwhile, beating with pressure pot cover sends man to ICU, and woman stabbed with pitchfork while pulling brother from gambling fight. Meanwhile, US begins to lift sanctions on Venezuela, and CXC UG Inc. MOU to advance educational opportunities for Caribbean students. Stay tuned to stay informed. And now for the news in detail. Chartered accountant and attorney at law Christopher Ram recently highlighted that Guyana's leaders made a colossal blunder in 2016 when they allowed the Stabroek Block PSA to carry a certain provision that sees the state paying the income taxes for ExxonMobil, Hess and Sinach. But what he finds more preposterous and mind-boggling is the fact that the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, one of the nation's development partners on the sector, encouraged Guyana to continue with the provision in spite of the fact that it is not consistent with any of its laws. Ram had previously noted that the provision that sees Guyana paying the income taxes of the oil companies out of its share of profit oil is called the Pay on Behalf formula. The chartered accountant was keen to note that Guyana's use of the formula is not catered for in 2 of the nation's laws. In other news, the Natural Resource Governance Institute, or NRGI, one of the world's leading non-profit organizations dedicated to helping countries properly manage their oil and gas wealth, recently conducted an assessment on Guyana and found that its systems for revenue management are weak. Given the prospects of high revenue in the coming years, NRGI said this is clearly a major red flag. On a positive note, NRGI noted that Guyana obtained good scores regarding the government's disclosure of the national budget and national debt. It further noted that the former government's decision to create the Natural Resource Fund in 2019 with clear withdrawal rules that control the amount that is transferred to the national budget constitute a step forward, sound economic policy for the sector. And moving on. With Guyana being the Caribbean Development Bank's largest recipient of loans, newly elected bank president Dr. Jean Leon arrived in Guyana on Friday, July 9th, last for his first official visit to the country since taking up leadership of the bank in May. In 2020, the CDB's project approvals in Guyana included $9.9 million for the construction of a modern hospitality training institute and $190 million for upgrading 121 kilometers of roadway from Linden to Mabura Hill, the largest project ever in the bank's history. Guyana is one of the founding members of CDB, having joined in 1970, and the bank has been a leading partner in the country's development over the past half-century. CDB funding in Guyana has been used for social and economic infrastructure, including schools, water systems, and climate-resilient roads. And now let's tell you, Court 1 of the Georgetown Magistrates Courts heard yesterday that a man is presently lying in the ICU of the Georgetown Public Hospital.
Further develop the agritourism policy in Guyana. Minister Mustafa said that the understanding establishes a shared ambition between the two ministries in an effort to collaborate. In an effort to collaborate, coordinate, and implement the development of the agritourism policy in Guyana. Minister Mustafa also said the Agritourism acts as a mechanism for diversification and income generation for farmers. This, he said, would be achieved through on-farm activities that would help to maintain the viability of farms and rural communities. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We will return after the break.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. In a serious condition at the Georgetown Public Hospital is a woman who was allegedly stabbed to her chest with a pitchfork on Sunday last while trying to pull her brother from a gambling fight. The woman has been identified as Otley White of Lamaha Spotting Area, Georgetown, and the individual who allegedly stabbed her is 53-year-old Dennis Hillman, a vendor who resides in the same area. Hillman was charged with causing grievous bodily harm with intent to commit murder and remanded to prison until August 5, 2021. On Sunday last, White's brother and Hillman's son were gambling. The young men reportedly got into a misunderstanding and a fight erupted around 17 hours 30. While White had rushed over to assist her brother by attempting to pull him from the fight. Upon seeing this, Hillman, who was some distance away, allegedly armed herself with a pitchfork and approached White, stabbing her to the right side of the chest. And now let's tell you, on Monday, July 12th, the U.S. Department of Treasury granted a sanctions waiver, which in effect empowers U.S. companies to export liquid petroleum gas supplies to Venezuela. The sanction waiver is the first move by the Biden administration sanctions on the country, according to Platts and its humanitarian concern. Familiar with number 4 or 2 not receive petroleum products. Were also empowered to be able to facilitate the trades, an action which has been wholly on Venezuela's U.S. sanction. Next potential Venezuela sanction: diesel for crude swaps, analysts say. Meanwhile, Energy Agency, or GEA, has launched an investigation into the actions of the now embattled senior who was caught on tape directing a client looking to purchase a large quantity of fuel to not use his preferred choice, but instead lobbied for another. This was confirmed by sources at GEA, even as more damning information comes forward into the actions of the GEA agent. We confirmed too that the individual was sacked by KANU for allegedly corrupt practices. A senior official familiar with the KANU sacking outlined that the man's contract with that agency was terminated, and that says a lot. Additionally, it was pointed out that the actions for which the GEA official is now being accused of is not surprising at all. And moving on, Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgel on Tuesday commissioned the once dilapidated new Washer Pond Road in Linden, Region 10. The $52 million road is outfitted with concrete drains and the requisite safety markings. The work, according to the Department of Public Information, was executed by engineers from the ministry's Special Projects Unit. To avoid erosion, the minister said heavy-duty vehicles cannot be accommodated on the road at this time. Head of the Special Projects Unit, Colin Gittins, said that the ministry was able to address the issues that was causing the road to deteriorate. Mayor of Linden, Winneke Arundel, said that the people of Linden appreciate the works executed by the ministry, as the road was in a derelict state for many years. And now for your COVID-19 update. With 4 more fatalities recorded yesterday, the country's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 503. 168 new COVID-19 cases were recorded, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 21,223. There are 11 patients presently in the COVID-19 ICU, 84 in institutional isolation, 1,190 in home isolation, and 5 in institutional quarantine. To date, a total of 19,433 persons have recovered from the virus. And just before we wrap things up, let's tell you what is in today's page 7 of the Kaieteur News that is dedicated to being blunt. In Tuesday's Kaieteur News, Chris Ram said PPPC must decide if it will stand with the country or oil companies. As wise as Mr. Ram is, we are ahead of him on this one. PPP leaders have already decided. They are with the oil companies. Countries? What is that, and who cares about those living in Guyana? Certainly, is it not the PPP whose record confirms how the party and its leaders in government have tied bundle with the oil companies? Unless a miracle happens, Guyanese will be left to suck salt on this soil. With that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. Kevin Smith here. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise